what can civilians do to sacrifice for their country? What risk can you take? When you make a movie, it's like having a child and raising a child from infancy. Okay. And you see these protective parents that they're all chill and cool and laid back, but the moment their kid's livelihood is affected, then you see another side of them, right? Because it's their blood, it's their child, right? It's the same thing with filmmaking. When you've been doing this for 30 years, like I am, they're like, oh, Chris Martini, he's such a easygoing, laid back filmmaker, director. Well, I am most of the time until you mess with my child.
Yeah.
When you mess with my child, you're going to see another side of me. So if there's anyone on a film that's trying to get in the way of the story that you're trying to tell, because you'll encounter these people, right? Sometimes it's people who simply they don't know the business, or they don't have the cojones to make their own film. And so they try to monopolize off of the things that you've built over time and try to steer the ship in the wrong direction. And that's when you're going to see another side of me that violently will take, that ship and put it back on course. And then you're going to go, Chris Martini is a total prick. But the
You got to steer the
ship's back on course. So
Yeah.
it's
That's
like, there's
awesome.
going to be conflict too,
That's awesome. Yep. So you've talked about, your kids and some of your accomplishments. Super awesome. Trophy case. You've won over 70 awards for your work throughout the years.
Not huge ones though. They're awards, yeah, but it's not like Sundance and all this kind of stuff. Filmmaking for me was like going upstairs. It was like, so when I started at the bottom, I was like, I couldn't get into film school. Like I kept applying and then I got in, and then like I'm on like one step up, right? And then now I'm in film school, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing, right? I don't know how to tell a story. I'm like, I'm there. Okay. So I'm like, I'm on that next step. Now I'm like, okay, I can tell a story. I can't get into a film festival. Boom, film festival. Okay, now I'm into like tons of film festivals. I can't get any awards. Okay, now I'm getting like awards, but they're not like Sundance. They're not Tribeca, all that kind of stuff, right? And then, so that is still yet to be discovered, those top tier awards, an Oscar, a Cannes Film Festival, the Palme d'Or, whatever they call it, that thing. And but then it was like, oh, I haven't gotten into movie theaters. My film hasn't been in theaters. I'm a filmmaker and I haven't shown in movie theaters. And then I did it, so it's like one step at a time, but the awards thing, I still have to get the big awards. So and at the end of the day, it's not quantity over quality. Now I'm like, I don't want to make tons of films. I want to make one great film and get one big award and make its money back to the investors and then some, and then I'll be good. And then I'll sleep easy.
Nice. Yeah. I feel like you've always been about impact, but it also kind of feels like this is where now you're like almost laser focused for like your next few projects. So
I got to
kind
go
of that,
big. I got to go big now
so
with the
would you,
budgets and,
okay. So sounds to me like you've already kind of answered the question that I was going for. These awards, do they mean something different for you than the impact of The Man You Don't Know? Which one of those feels like a bigger victory to you? Being able to work on that project, direct it, get it into the theaters in such a short amount of time and have an impact on like world history, or some of the accolades that you've received for some of the other films. Like you said, Trooper was your first film, so it's a very special place in your heart. So I guess that's why I'm just kind of curious which one feels like the bigger victory for you as a person or as a filmmaker.
Each one was its own victory,
Okay.
And there's not one victory that's greater than the other, because when I didn't know how to tell a story, and then you do, and you see the audience affected, you finally figure it out. That's a major victory. Seeing the name of your movie on 42nd Street in a movie theater next to like blockbusters is like, you have to really want to do it to wait 30 years before these things happen. You have to really love movies. It's because I love watching it, but it's not all of those things are together, and it's the whole journey of that staircase, and it's not one step on its own. It's that whole journey, and that's when you need to be thankful for where you are. I'm always like, I'm a workaholic, and I always have to be multitasking and working on something and doing something and knocking something out, and I'm starting to chill out now where I can just look at what I've done and just pat myself on the back, just
Yeah.
chill out. It's like, okay, I'm probably not going to be an Ingmar Bergman. I mean, I don't know. That guy made like 3, 4 films a year. I don't know how he did it, but I kind of did it. So
Mhm.
just like chill out. Don't be so hard on yourself. If you want to make movies and you're just starting out, just do a little bit every day. Just write every day a little bit. If you got kids like I do, you got a million things going on, but you have this dream, you want to make movies, just baby steps, just a page a day. And then before long, you'll have a whole script, and then, you know what I mean? It's just go
Yeah.
easy on yourself, but don't stop. Like, don't not do something when you want to do it. Like, do a little bit every day. Just make sure you're consistent. Like, if you're tired, do it. Just do it tired. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it'll be done. And the next day you won't be tired and it'll be better. And then you'll go back and you'll make the bad stuff better. And it's a process. Like,
I
but
love it.
don't lag. That's my only advice to filmmakers. Just like a little bit at a day. But like, if you have energy and mental energy and you can go longer, like push yourself to go longer, but don't kill yourself. Just go easy on yourself.
That's good. That's good. I love it. And these principles are so awesome because I think that they need to be said, they need to be heard. And it kind of reiterates some of the stuff that I've read about the industry as well. So, Stephen Pressfield, he's an author that I value his work. I think he does good stuff. And I listened to a different book that he wrote that was more of his autobiography called Government Cheese. And it was hitting on a lot of these things that you're saying. It's like, hey, man, this is yeah, I'm in the movie theaters. Like, I've got my movies in the theaters next to the blockbusters, but there's 30 years of work here that you didn't see. 30 years of struggles, 30 years of
Yeah.
paying my dues, of learning, of developing the craft. And he's like, it wasn't until I was like, I can't remember how old he was when he said, I didn't get my breakthrough till he was like in his 50s or 60s. You know what I mean? But he was, like you said, consistent, showing up, being in the right rooms. And eventually, boom, now he's got, some of his works are now adopted for the big screen. So yeah,
Being a
it's
director is actually good because you can age into it well. I mean, it's like a lot of the great directors, like didn't do stuff until they were in their 50s. I mean, like Orson Welles made Citizen Kane. He was in his early 20s. I mean, that's insane. But like, directing is like wine. It gets better with age a little bit because you need that life experience. One thing I didn't say that's super important is that I do think that if you want to direct, you should learn how to write and also act. I think it's super important. And then you have to be a writer, an actor, and you have to know what each crew member does. You have to learn and actually have experience doing what they do. And I think if you know how to wear all those hats, you'll be an awesome director because the actors will know that you're speaking their language. From writing, this is the most important thing. You'll know how to tell a good story. All of that is meaningless if you show up on set and your crew members, like your army, look at you like you're an a-hole because you don't know what you're talking about. They won't do anything. You have to know about lenses. You have to know what the costume supervisor is going through, how to put a C-stand together, and lug a sandbag. I mean, don't be a prick director and not carry stuff. I mean, as
Mhm.
long as it's not a union film, you can pick up some equipment and do some work too. So I don't know. There's a lot that you learn over the years, but the more you know about what other people do will make you a better filmmaker. Cause like you see these directors that show up on set and they're like they're so bad to the people that work for them, and it's just the wrong approach. Back to what I'm saying, like, you should be a nice guy where it's like, this is your family, and you should feel upset when you have to say goodbye to them. But at the same time, if there's a bad apple and it's gonna ruin where this ship's going, then that's when you need to be the guy that they haven't seen. But they'll respect you for it. At the end of the day, they will, because they want a leader, you know? So when stuff goes wrong and they see that you're not just this like laid back, mellow guy or girl, and you know how to be mean and when you need to for the overall good, then you'll get respect that way.
That's good. Yeah, and I mean those are difficult lines to tread. So one of my frustrations I think in the teams was that the triad, like the master chief, the CO, they spent a lot more time at the team with the enablers, the technical support elements, and that was their day-to-day working operations for the most part. So keeping those relationships clean and not being the stern disciplinarian was kind of in their favor to keep things less conflict in their day-to-day life. Then most of the time the operators are out in the field training or out deployed. So we're grinding, we're doing work, we're trying to make sure everything's lined up for the next trip while we're on a trip. And then it's almost like we come back and we're it's pulling teeth to get the gear. It's pulling teeth to find the people in the office. It's pulling teeth to get the support that the system is there for. And so that leadership style that can be the disciplinarian dad, father figure, whatever, that can say, hey, sure, we need to be a family. We need to get along. We need to have our circuits, running well, but we got to do the job. If somebody's out of line, being able to, like you said, step up, be that leader is an incredible skill. And I think that, I mean, that's part of my life development, but I think everybody's kind of like working on in those spaces is trying to develop those traits that you can do it effectively. So I'm so glad that you brought that up because it relates to some of my experiences as well and just adjacent.
It all stems from failing. I mean, we haven't talked about that, is failing. I guess that's the great thing about film school. It's not really a waste of money because it lets you fail, you know? So, like, when you spend your own money and you see that fly out the window, and then you're left with this film that does not make any sense, you can only do that so many times before it breaks you. You know, this is why so many people drop out of filmmaking. So it's those failures that teach you. You know, after failing so many times when it's going right and when you have a good movie, right?
Nice.
And when it's going right, and then this other factor comes into play and it starts to change this thing and take it in another direction where it could become bad, that's when you know you gotta step in. So without failing, you're not gonna know when it's going bad because you're not gonna have that experience of, like, being in the editing room and looking at this garbage going, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
I did a lot of that. I looked at a lot of garbage that I had made, so and I'm still learning. I still
Awesome. So you've tackled the biggest political figure on earth. Where do you go from here? What's the story that Christopher Martini hasn't told yet?
I mean, I told you a few of them, but I'd like to do a movie that really captures my childhood and my family. I was really impacted, like, by movies, Ordinary People, Kramer versus Kramer, that were sort of like family dramas, you know?
Mhm.
And, you know, my family was a divorced family, and I don't think I've really tackled it properly, but I would really love to do a film about sort of the complexities that were involved in my family when I was growing up. And so, having an Italian father and an Irish Texan mother and sort of a divorce, and it was a unique American family, and I wanna find a way to capture that somehow and put that into a package, a story that kinda archetypal that any American will look at that and relate. We were such a different family that's gonna be a challenging job to make that kinda universal.
Yeah, that's awesome, though. Yeah, that sounds like great because people need to hear those stories. They need to, like I said, the family I feel like has been moved away from so much in like our modern world, and it has so much to do with how people are raised, how much they know about the world, how they treat other people, the respect that they show in an area of public where there's other people. So yeah, I think that would be a very powerful legacy piece
Yeah,
to leave behind.
God and the family are where we need to put our focus back. I think if we focus on those 2 things, a lot of this mental health stuff is gonna improve.
That's awesome. Great vision, and that's very aligned with I'm hoping to do here with the podcast is help address some of these issues, help the people that are in the darkness, that are struggling through things that maybe they came from abusive home, whatever it might be, but give them that lifeline, give them some hope and show them some stories like yourself, like, hey, we came from a broken home, but look at how successful we've been. Look at how much values we can still throw out there and put out on the table. So absolutely fantastic. I do.
I'm not done with the military, the veteran thing either. After trooper, I was like, "Oh, I don't wanna get pigeonholed," but then I kinda realized it was my calling. It's become I'm building sort of a body of work around veterans issues, military
Mhm.
issues, and stuff, and I would like to teach more civilians how to break into the military kinda circle so that we can show that we love you guys and that we are here if you need us. We gotta break that barrier because if we can get in there and earn and I can teach people how to earn trust, I think that's gonna help a lot of veterans also, just knowing that there's, a community of civilians that really is thankful and has their back and in a meaningful way, meaning like
Mhm.
make time, not be afraid to hear stories and listen and stop what you're doing and talk and say, "Hey, call me if you need to talk." Seriously. Even if I don't hear from you, I want you to know that you can. Just little stuff like that. I've kind of, with my veteran films, like, exposed myself to the community in a way where I give everybody access. Like, I don't cut anyone off, especially veterans, and it takes up a lot of time. It takes me out of what I'm doing, but I love it. I just love to help in that way and for them to know that I'm not, like, so busy that I can't take a call or be concerned about what just today I called a veteran friend of mine, his parents are both dying, and he's taking care of them himself, and, it's just like he's a friend. I want him to know that I'm thinking about him. If we can get more civilians to do stuff like that, I think that we can help our military who's struggling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, I love your passion behind your work, the heartbeat behind it. I know that you truly care about others, about the veterans community in general. So, again, thank you so much for being on the show. I do want to give you the last word. Any last words of wisdom, advice that you want to share with the listeners? You've got the stage for whatever you want to pass on.
Well, Brent, I told you I thought I was gonna miss this interview, but I'm so glad I made it, and just talking to you, you are really good at this because I wasn't expecting to say this much. You definitely have the ability to bring it out of me. I don't really know what to leave the audience with other than we're living in some dangerous times right now, and it's kinda scary, and I don't know where things are going. I'm very concerned for my kids' future and growing up in this country. And I guess what I want to leave the audience with is if you're a veteran or a law enforcement or first responder, I feel like you've already sacrificed. But if you're not, what can civilians do to sacrifice for their country? What risk can you take that's going to take you out of your comfort zone, that's going to risk your livelihood to make this a better country for everybody else? Because I did to some extent in my career. Now I'm kind of like pulling back again, but I'll do it again. But it's like, and now I'm willing to kind of just stop and do whatever I need to do for my kids so it's a safer, better country for them. But it's like part of the problem is like it's too safe. We're living off of what you guys did for us, what each generation of our military did to make this a safe country where we don't have to risk and put everything on the line. But now things are changing and we actually need to get uncomfortable and do things that we don't, I'm just speaking like peaceful things, but that
Mhm.
might things that you do that might put your job at risk, that might put your friends, your livelihood at risk, but it's for our country, whether it's speaking out or communicating or running for council or passing bills or whatever, making art about it or just do something for this country. That's it. That's all in whatever form you can, because we're not going to have it. Things are changing so fast, and we're not going to have this if we all don't start thinking this way quickly.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. I definitely agree. Again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on, and I look forward to seeing all of your new projects. I'm excited.
Brent, thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.